do the intro. What's up, Privy Nation? What's going on? We got Jared on here. We got Nathan Valley. What's going on, guys?
Going on? What's going on?
Yo,
Yeah,
so
what's
you guys
up,
all.
man?
Oh shoot, he came in late. All right, what's up, Nate? You can say it again.
Dude, you know it's Friday, man. I got my jelly beans that I'm munching on. I had to finish chewing my jelly bean before I could answer.
Bro, you got your jelly beans. I got my Kirkland sparkling water. What do you got over there, Jared?
I got a little Nestle Pure Life and a little Starbucks
Hey.
to kick off the Friday.
That's what I like to hear, man. Okay,
There are
well,
still-
so guys,
still endorsements and sponsors, guys.
yeah, we're not getting paid by Kirkland or any of these guys. Maybe one day. So,
Nathan,
hey,
I think you deserve a little cut from Kirkland. That's all I'm saying.
bro, check this out, man. Did I show you I got these for my birthday?
Bro, I'm
Let's
going to
go.
Costco later today. I'm not even joking. I have Kirkland slides listed on my Costco shopping list after I saw those.
Yes,
But
the
guys,
K6
Nate, I
slide.
don't know what we're diving into today because, guys, it's not about Kirkland. Today's actually going to be a super, super awesome call that everyone is going to be able to find really, really applicable to you, especially, guys, we're on the Privy channel, right? We're talking about Privy, one of our absolute favorite tools, and we're going to be digging in about what it looks like, starting off using Privy and what are maybe some slight adjustments or maybe some challenges you might face along the way. Nate, you want to kind of break it down a little bit more?
Of course, yeah. So we got Jared on here, our special guest. We love Jared. He definitely helps. Gives a lot of value to everyone that he talks to. Man, he helps us out in our community, and we brought him on here because my man's doing the Privy call. He's taking action. So what we want to do is address any of the concerns that he has, and a lot of the concerns that he has is concerns a lot of people have, right? So one thing I wanted to preface before we get into some of the things that he's facing and that everyone faces that we want to overcome is it's not always about everyone just listen. It's not always about getting that one deal. Okay. It's not about calling about that agent and locking up that deal. That would be great. And that's what we want. Right. But that's not just take that out of your mind that's not the only thing you're trying to accomplish here. What you're trying to accomplish is relationships with the agents so they can trust you and be like, oh, this is a guy that I can call within 24 hours and he's going to give me an offer. Okay. Because the thing is, if you can have an army of agents out there that know who you are, that trust you, and that can reach out to you, and if they find a seller that's like, I don't want to list it, I want to sell it for cash, they think of you. Now, the only way you can do that is if you implant something in their mind, you make an impression where they believe and they trust you. Okay. Because I'll tell you right now, before I started doing this, I've made so many calls to agents. They say they're going to throw me in their buyer's list. I haven't gotten one email, one text, one call from an agent that I've just randomly talked to because they don't care. They get a bunch of calls. They have their top 2 or 3 guys that they talk to. They're their buyers, and they're never going to think about you again. No, it's not because you're not good at what you do. But I just want to let everyone know that's not the only goal. The goal is to develop the relationship with the agent so they can bring you pocket listings and more deals in the future. So we're going to kind of go over that a little bit. Jared, that will be something that I think will help out a ton as we discuss what you've been facing. But Nate, go ahead. I know you got this.
And guys, if any of you are using Privy or you're trying to do deals on market, what we're going to be talking about today is I'd say this is probably the most common question that comes up when we talk about the subject of on-market deals, which is, hey, I get it. Like Privy is amazing. That I've got the tool, I've got the filter set up. Properties, I'm looking at them, but I'm still having a hard time looking at deals. Either I can't find anything that meets my buyer's criteria. Or that's a deal for them. Or, when I do make a call, they've already got, 5, 10 offers on the table at or above list price. So Jared, why don't you kind of give me a quick rundown a little bit of where you're at right now, kind of what you're doing and what, tell me just a little bit about the kind of roadblocks or challenges you're running into right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I'm working the greater Tampa market. So Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, even a few other, small towns and cities outside of that. I've built up a pretty strong buyers list where I have strong buyers that I know will close. They'll close quickly. They're solid. I understand what their criteria is, what they're buying at. And I have my Privy filter set up for what I'm looking for. I get the daily emails with anything that, falls into those filters that I should be alerted on. And then each morning I'll come in here, I'll go through what they email me, and then I'll respectively place them into the folders that fit the criteria of where they should go. And then from there, if it fits, call this folder later that day, or after I finish it up, I'll give a call to the agent. So that's kind of that.
Love it. So you've got Privy, you've set up, your market is Tampa, right? So you've got Privy, you've got your market in place. You're in a good market. You set up your filters so that Privy is sending you deals while you sleep, properties that meet your criteria, properties that Privy is saying, hey, this is something you're going to want to take a look at. This could be a potential deal for you. And so you've got that all set up. And so now you're looking through the deals that Privy's sending you. And what's the challenge, the roadblock that you're running into right now?
I think one of the challenges that I'm finding is if there's a property that comes up that looks like it could be a good wholesale property, I'll comp it. I'll see what the ARV is at. I'll run the numbers on where I know my buyer needs to be at. I have a buyer that's buying at 75% minus rehab, which is not bad. I think in today's market, I think the market overall is starting to heat up again, but at least at the end of last year and the beginning of this year, I mean, there was buyers that were buying at 60% of ARV, 55% of ARV. So I don't think that 75% of ARV minus rehab is bad by any means. So, I'll plug those numbers in. I'll figure out what I need to offer, even if I'm just taking a small assignment. And, I'll give a call to the agent, and it's either so far off where the list is, or they have offers that are close to the list. And in my mind, I'm like, this is where it needs to be at for a flipper to make money on it, for it to make sense. I don't know how they're getting offers at the price that they're saying there.
Yeah. No, I love it, Nate. Oh my gosh, the face is bouncing all around, making me dizzy.
Nate, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, buddy. I clicked on a button. My bad.
So Jared, love it. So guys, I don't know if anybody else here has had a similar challenge or obstacle that you've run into, to where, you're looking at properties on the MLS and it's just not priced at where you need to be at. And the properties you do call on, there's just such a big gap between the price that your buyers can pay and what they have it listed at and the offers that they're saying they already have on the table. So let's actually, we're going to get down to the nitty gritty. So let's go into, you said you've got an email with kind of some properties that.
Yeah, I think I have like close to 10 or so in this email, just based on some of the filters that I have set up. So we can go through these if we want.
Cool. Yeah. So let's start.
Just make sure, Jared, real quick. Your best buyer out of all the ones that you develop relationships with is 75% minus repairs, and that's kind of the criteria he's given you. Or have you been able to dive deeper into that?
And so, yeah, 75 minus rehab, 3-1, under 500,000, no wood frame in Florida. So needs to be block or slab, and nothing in a historic district either.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. That's a pretty generic buy box, which is, it's okay. Like a lot of the hedge funds have that in Florida. I would just suggest, if you're cool with them, call them and be like, hey bro, tell them what's going on. Right. Like, hey, I'm making these offers, and I'm trying to get you a deal. But can you give me a little bit more information on, like, do you have hard money? Do you pay 12 points? 2 points, 12%. Trying to get a little bit more information to really hone in on it, because 75% minus repairs pretty much works for anybody, right? Like, we're trying to get that edge that's like, okay, what makes this guy better than working with the next guy? Like, other than the relationship you're building, like for example, the one that Nathan worked with in his 30-day challenge where he got a deal, that guy, I would say, is a freaking amazing buyer, right? Like, and I think he actually buys in Tampa.
He does. And that's what I was going to say, because there's two ends that we got to work on. Because the one is, we're going to look through at how you're looking at the properties, and what that looks like as far as actually sourcing the deal. But it might be, and this is where I see most wholesalers have the biggest struggle, is it's not that the deals aren't there. it's because they're using it, it's they're still kind of, they don't know their buyers well enough to realize how much more they actually can pay, or find stronger buyers to where you're able to know their exact criteria, because that is a game changer. Because the two biggest things are when they're saying, hey, I buy at this percent of ARV, and we don't know their rehab costs. That can be a big swing. Like that alone can be $100,000 swing in your offer. If you're at like a $300,000, $400,000 price point, you know, literally your offer, just those two things between, hey, I'm using like a percentage, 75%, and then I'm doing a generic price per square foot to figure out the rehab, that can make a massive difference. So when I'm looking at the properties that Privy's sending me, they might actually be really good opportunities, and they might actually be, or you might actually be able to get them to a price that's a good fit for you. But we just don't think it's a good deal because we don't know our buyers well enough. So that I'd say is probably the first one, and we can maybe dig in a little bit deeper as to what that would look like. But first, let's go through some of these properties. I'd love to see kind of what you're looking at when you look at these properties, how you kind of analyze them and decide, is this worth a call? Is it not worth a call?
Yep, sounds good. So this is the first one here. This was fire damage. And I know my buyers are not interested in fire damage, so I kind of just skipped right over this one. So that's what I did on this one. Don't
Okay.
know.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
This next one here, let me see if I put it in a list. Yeah. So this one I actually put into my call list that I wanted to follow up with. Okay. So let's take a look at this one, listed for 229.
Hey, by the way, everyone, just real quick, I want to note, like, because you're targeted, look at, you just went past that other deal. You know, that other deal, if you're not targeted, could take maybe someone like an hour. They could be like, well, let me call about it. Okay, now I got to go find someone that might want fire damage. Let me go search and see, you know, but you're like, hey, I got my man on a mission. So that was really cool.
Cool. So this one I went through this morning. I threw this in my called these Hillsborough County on 1 to 49 days on market. It's been listed for 2 days. I put in a note that the ARV was 325 from a comp that I must have seen below here. So do we want to like look at the comp that I found, or
so
plug the math in on it?
So you looked at this property. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. The physical criteria of like the physical property, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the square footage, the year built, you looked at that and you were like, hey, this is a good fit for something that my buyers would be interested. And then, I'm sorry, you said did you say it was listed for
2 days?
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry, you said it came, all right, it came into your 0 to 49 list. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
So it's been listed for 2 days. It's listed at 229. When you comp it, how in depth do you go? How long does that process typically take?
A minute.
Kind of give me a quick run through. Like,
yeah. So what I usually do is I'll come down here. I usually filter it by date sold just so I can see the most recent.
Love that.
And then I'll look for, you know, what I've found in Tampa, at least with the 3-1s, a lot of them will be 3-2s. So you want to find out if there's an opportunity to add a second bathroom. So if you can use that or not. But I filter it by day sold. I look at the beds, bath, the square footage, and then also at the lot size and the year build, just to make sure that kind of everything lines up there. I remember putting a 325 ARV in here. I don't recall which one I exactly used, but if we look at this one, just for an example, this is a 3.2 1200 built-in 27 smaller lot. I don't think this was the property that I used, but I put it at a 325 ARV on this one here.
Cool. Love it. How long does this process usually take you?
I'd say I take like a minute to 2 minutes on it.
Perfect. Yeah, we don't want to spend more than that. Just like a ballpark. Yeah, I think this is in like the 320 range from taking a quick look. Yeah. I love how you sort it by, especially guys in today's market. And this is what I love about Privy too, is the comping tool. Honestly, I've seen all of them. I like this comping tool by far better than any other one. and you can sort it by date sold. And especially, guys, in today's market, more than anything, guys are concerned about, if you say a comp property has an, a certain ARV, the first thing they are going to look at is when it was sold. And if you're using a comp, when you're talking to your buyer and you're giving them a comp that sold last summer, they're going to rip you apart. So I love that.
And I always try to be conservative with my numbers as well, with the ARV, with the rehab. Also, like, I want to make sure I'm bringing quality to my buyers. You know, I'm in all these Facebook groups and I see wholesalers that are posting quote unquote deals that they're trying to dispo. And I'm looking at these numbers and I'm just like, what is this? Like, this is not a deal. So that's not, it's like the exact opposite of what I'm trying to do. So I'm always leaning towards the conservative side. And then on the comping front, I also want to make sure that just like the structure of the home is the same as well. I don't want to compare something that looks like this that is, you know, completely different to something else.
Hey, bro, be thankful that you know that doesn't work, because there's many wholesalers that will just take a deal, lock it up, throw it on there, pray that someone will take it, and they waste hours and so much time. It's
and then I came across one yesterday that actually worked, that I submitted an offer on and the agent's open to it. I have a question on the details, but we won't go there right now. But the only comp I could find on that one was a comp that was currently under contract. So what I did is I called the broker on that to get an idea of like where they actually under contract, just so I like have a strong idea of like where to use the numbers on that.
Amazing. Great job.
That's
guys, brother.
This is exactly what everybody should be doing, is putting in that one extra step. That's amazing. So I hope everyone kind of picked up. This is the process when you set up your filters. Privy literally sends you all these deals overnight, right? You don't have to go look through hundreds of listings. They'll let you know these are the 5, 6, 7 properties that you need to look at. Then all you need to do is, Jared was just saying, it takes him a minute to 2 minutes. Same for me. It only takes a minute or 2 minutes to take a quick look, and you're just trying to figure out, is this worth a phone call or is it not? So this property, so you said this one's worth a phone call.
Yeah, so I figured it was worth a phone call, if nothing else, just to connect with the agent and build that relationship, let them know who I am, what I'm about, what I'm looking for. So with the numbers on this one, you know, if I was using the ARV at 325, 75% of that is 244. I'm not like an expert in rehab, estimating rehab costs by any means at all, but taking a look at this, it definitely needs work, but it's not like falling apart either. So what I did, I don't know if this is right or wrong, I threw in 75 of rehab, just from the photos. $75,000 for rehab, just based on some of the other conversations that I've been having. It could be off, but I think it'd be around that. So 75,000 rehab after the 75% of the ARV brings me to 169 basically before any sort of assignment. So it's still, you know, decently off, but I figured it would be worth a call nonetheless.
When you make a call, do you do it from like your cell phone?
I call from my cell, yeah.
Hey, real quick, when determining the rehab budget, that's important to look at the comp that you're comparing it with, right? Mm-hmm. Because the comp that you're comparing it with could potentially just be like a carpet paint, right? Yep. But if it's a full-blown flip looking beautiful, then we're talking upwards towards there. But if it's not going to cost that much. Okay, that looks like a that's a very nice home. Okay, so that's the comp, 320, and you're saying it's what is it, under contract at 320? What did the broker say it was? Kind of
this wasn't the one that I called the broker. I just came across this one this morning.
Yeah, so to get it to that level, yeah, it's definitely
this is a different one, but they're both very nice.
Very, very nice. Yeah, so it's going to take all around.
Now, real quick, while you have that up, what I would do also is, like, if I'm really unsure, is I would click on, I love it. That one, you know, is a flip. It has the before and after button. So I would click on that button, or yeah, you can just scroll down. And
they did this quick. They bought this in February.
It's a good buyer.
Dude, so two things that I look at. One, I look at the pictures of before. What, like, how does it look before? And just to get an idea of what level of rehab. So they fully redid the kitchen. They fully updated the interior. They did a full rehab. Now, the other thing that I look at, I'm not a rehab guy by any means. I also used to just be like, yeah, let's just say it's a 75K rehab. And I'd be way too conservative. And that's how I would miss out on a lot of deals. Privy, what I love is I can look at the pictures and get an idea of like, okay, this house would get the same amount of work done to it as the one that I'm looking at right now. The thing that I love is you can see what price they paid. So right there where it has like the arrow with the price, can you highlight that just so people know what I'm talking about? So Privy shows you the price they bought it for and the price they sold it for. So without knowing anything, I can just take a general stab at, well, if they paid $198 for this, and they're going to be doing about the same amount of work as the house that I'm looking at, ballpark, I'm going to say, okay, they could probably pay somewhere close to 200.
Yeah. So
depending on the rehab needed, it might swing 5 or 10,000, but you at least have a really good idea of what people are willing to pay for deals in that neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. I think that this house pre-flip is in a lot better condition than the subject property that we were looking at.
But what I would say is like, even if the cabinets, one thing to look at with rehab is whether the sink and tiles are all jacked up in the listing you're looking at. And if you're like, oh, but the tiles and the sink and the bathroom of this property were a bit nicer. Yeah, but if they took it all out and replaced it anyways, it doesn't matter which one was nicer. It's they did a full bathroom, they did a full kitchen. It's going to be the same. Yeah, it's same thing with the roof. You know, if there's like shingles falling off one roof and it's just like in rough shape, and then another roof, it's just old, doing a roof is doing a roof. So that's kind of how I look at it with a rehab. And then I'll let my buyer tell me exactly where it needs to be at. So I would use this as a really, really good ballpark. And so let's use that number you were talking about. So you said 325 for an ARV. I'm sorry, 324. So 75%.
Yeah.
So 324,000 times 0.75. So that's 243. And then you have to minus repairs. And so initially you said, I threw 75,000 for a rehab. So minus 75,000. That puts you at 168. So just looking at this buyer paid 30,000 more than what your max allowable offer in your head would be. This is how it could be a deal, and it's just because we're not taking a closer look at our buyers and what they're really able to pay, and really developing that relationship with our buyers. You could be doing everything right and just missing on the deal because it's actually the relationship and getting to know our buyer better. That's the thing that we're missing.
Yeah.
And what I love is Privy helps you kind of see that. So, because I don't know how good your relationship is with your buyer, I don't know the case, but what I do know is Privy is able to show me that somebody that's flipping houses right now in this market, that's what they paid. And this would be somebody I would call, like if I called that other listing, this is a buyer that I would want to look up and call.
Yeah.
So
what I actually do, what I do on that is I have a folder where if I'm getting the emails and there's properties coming through that are listed and they're clearly flips, I'll add them to, so look, this one's actually already in here. So I put it in active and renovated and then in the county. So I can then at a later point go into this folder and contact the buyers to build a bigger buyers list. So I actually already have this one in that folder for that purpose.
Yeah. Got it. Love it. Brother, how do you feel? Do you feel all right if I put you on the spot and see if we want to call this house? Not the one with the listing.
Yeah. The listing, right? This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. So What I usually do on a first call, I'm not giving an offer on the first call. I'm just trying to gather my information, see what's going on, see kind of where it's at, and then I'll usually tell them, I ran some soft numbers. Let me go back and run some deeper numbers, and then I can send something formal over. Where should I send it to?
Dude, love it, love it, love it. Guys, stop making offers on the first call. With sellers, with agents, stop doing it. It is killing you guys. I'm telling you, don't make offers on the first call. Amateur move. You guys are better than that. It's okay. You can come back. I promise it's still going to be there. Doesn't mean you're going to call them back in a week. You can call them back in an hour, 2 hours later that evening, whatever. But do not put yourself in the position to where you're fumbling to try to look at properties and comp it and come up with your number and make an offer right on that phone call. It's not necessary. You'll be able to be so much more effective when you break it into 2 calls, and it will build better rapport. And that's what gets us deals. Dude, I love it. I love it. Yeah, if you're up for it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Call it up. Now, guys, while he's calling, so he took the address and just put it right into Zillow. And the phone number is right there for the agent. If Jared, if you're able to highlight where their name and phone number is. See right there, guys. So in Privy, it doesn't necessarily have the cell phone for that agent listed, but it's so easy. You just copy and paste the real estate agent and the brokerage, or I actually, this is way smarter. He just copied the address and put it into Zillow, and then it pops up with their number right there. Love it.
All right, we'll give a call.
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Your call has been
Double call.
Yeah, man. Love it, Jared. Love it.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 813-727-7838 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Hey, Kevin, my name is Jared Morris. Was calling about the property you have listed over on North Mulberry Street. Had a few questions on it. If you give me a call back when you get this, my number is 973-617-7174. Thanks.
Awesome. Perfect. Love that. Now, if we hop back to Privy. So one thing, guys, why are we calling this property? The listing price, it's not a deal. It's listed too high. Guys, 99% of the properties you're going to be calling should not be listed currently at the perfect price. All your deals are going to come from the work that you do. So meaning you're calling them and we're able to get it down to the real price that they're willing to accept. This is why there's 2 parties. There's the people that are like, guys, man, I love the MLS. There's tons of deals there. And there's other people saying there's absolutely no deals on the MLS. It's because the people that are saying there's no deals on the MLS are only looking at list price, and they're not doing any of the hard work. And they're like, man, like nobody's just handing me these free deals. So this is the work that you got to do, because we don't know what price we can get it for until we call them. So now the other thing, this I think is actually priced pretty competitively. So it's a rehab property. You know, that guy bought that other flip at 200. This has only been listed for 2 days. I would almost bet money. Yeah, I would almost guarantee that when you do talk with this agent, Jared, they're probably going to already have multiple offers on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Does that happen a lot with?
Yeah.
Cool. So what I like to do is, guys, that doesn't mean like you can't still get the deal. What I like to do is we want to talk with the agent. We want to uncover information. First, we want to try to figure out in that conversation with the agent, if they're like, yeah, we've already got multiple offers on the table. One, we want to try to uncover, is there anything special or unique that is important to the seller or the situation? Sometimes that can be they want a quick closing. Now, that's typically what we always think. Sometimes they don't want a quick closing. Sometimes it's a quick closing is the thing they're worried about, and that's what everyone is already just by default offering them. So sometimes it could be, yeah, they don't want to deal with walkthroughs, or there's a bunch of junk in the house, and you asked, hey, if I were to clean up all this stuff and they didn't have to do anything, they could just leave it there, would that be valuable to them? Sometimes that's huge. We don't know until we have that conversation. That's what's so important. And most people are just submitting their offers without having these conversations. And that's how you get the competitive advantage with your offer. You can be a lower price, but have a much better offer because of the other things that you put into it, that the other people, they didn't do that work. So they didn't know. So the other thing is when they're like, oh, I've got multiple offers, you know, we've got 8, 9 offers on the table. I always ask, okay, got it. Are any of them, are they cash offers? You know, and they'll say yes. And I'll try to ask, okay, like, do they have due diligence period? Like, are those cash offers with inspection periods, or what does that look like? And I'm trying to get them to tell me, you know, hey, what's the highest offer, like the strongest offer that you have right now? Now, you can't just come out and say that. One of the things that I love to say, especially if the agent is, if they're kind of holding it really close to their chest and they're not giving you much information and they've already said that they've got multiple offers, one of the ninja questions I love to ask is, got it, I know you've got multiple offers on the table. My offer, you know, there's a lot of things I can do. You know, one of them is offering cash and stuff like that. But of course, I know you already have multiple offers on the table. And look, if I'm not able to be the strongest, I'm not looking to make an offer that would insult you or the seller. So I guess my question is, what would my offer need to be? Where would it need to be at in order to be competitive? I love that question. Where would my offer need to be at in order to be competitive? And then they will basically tell you where their highest offer's at. Most of the time they'll tell you, they'll be like, well, we've got an offer at 195. If you can offer 200, the deal's yours, right? Or they'll just say, well, you know, they won't necessarily tell you exactly. They'll be like, well, we have offers up in the 190s, 195. I would say, okay, got it. If I were able to pay 200, and if I was able to put a certain amount of money down, and if I was able to do 0 days due diligence, is that something would that win the deal? Would your seller be interested in that? Would that be competitive? And if they're like, yes, what do I do from there? I'm not putting down money. I'm not signing a 0 days due diligence contract. That's when the relationship with my buyer is everything. Because that's when I'm going to call my buyer. I'm going to put in the work first and foremost to make sure I can get it like to where, okay, we're definitely in the ballpark where this is a deal. Like, this is a really, really hot lead. And I know that if we can do this, I just got to shoot a text to the agent, and then we're going to be signing contracts today. When I get things to that point, and if it's close and I'm not sure, I ask my buyer. I'll shoot him a text. I'm like, hey, or I'll give him a call. I say, hey, I'm looking at this property on North Mulberry Street. It's a 3-1, you know, over 1,100 square feet. Needs some work to it for sure. It's got, and I always say it's already got 8 or 9, you know, if this is true, right? Don't make it up. But if there's multiple offers, let your buyer know that has multiple offers. Why? Because we're letting him know this is a hot property and there's a lot of people that want to get this. And so I say, hey, it's already got 8 or 9 offers on the property, if that's true, right? If they only say they have 3 offers, just say they have 3. If they say they have multiple offers, say they have multiple offers. Hey, they have multiple offers on the property, but I spoke with the agent. I was able to kind of build a lot of rapport with her, and I think I can be the one to win this deal for you. I think I can get it for you around 200,000 or 205, right? If I was talking 200,000 to the listing agent, I would say, I think I can get this property for 205. The listing price would be, I would say it's listed at 229, or I would say the list price is 200. Typically I like to make 10, but for you, the price would be 205. I'm only making $5,000, but it would require this amount of money down as a deposit and 0 days due diligence. Are you interested? And then I let them tell me. And 9 times out of 10, if you did your work well, they're going to take a quick look and be like, yeah, if you're coming to them with a 3-1, 1,100 square feet, in the 200 price point, and if you're telling them, hey, this already has multiple cash offers, but I think I can be the one to win it for you. If I'm telling them that without even looking at the property, there's this social proof of all the other investors wanting to buy it. So that actually gives them security and tells them, oh, this is something I want to look at. So he's going to say, yeah, send it over. And you're going to send him the address. He's going to take a closer look. And then you're going to, whether he says yes or no, you're going to learn something about your buyer. He's going to say, yeah, no, I'm going to pass on this one. I think it needs a little bit too much work. Okay, got it. What were you thinking? And then he'll let you know what he was looking at for rehab. And then you just learned a little bit more about him and got a bit more precise on his rehab. I threw a ton out there. I know I just went on a rant for like 10 minutes. Jared, thoughts, comments, concerns on everything I just said?
Yeah, no, I mean, that makes sense. Everything you said, no concerns. I think it's a great point to like get the detailed terms like from the agent of like what is actually going to win it, and then confirm with your buyer, like, is this something you're able to do? That way there's like no second guessing. Can I go in there, make that offer, close it, and assign it? Like it's a done deal. So you're really just kind of lining up all your ducks and you're ready to move forward confidently. I think that's huge.
100%. And now we're only doing that for properties that are like this, to where you're like, maybe it's a deal, right? Or if there's like a bunch of other competition and it's like, I might be able to get right on the deals to where you're like, dude, I'm going to make 80 grand on this. We're not calling our buyers first. Those ones, when we know it's a home run deal and we know it's a smoking deal for our buyers' criteria, we're going to lock those up first before we call them. But it's these ones, all the base hits that everybody else is missing out on. This is where you're really able to capitalize and just crush it, because nobody else has the relationships that you do, and you're able to make offers that nobody else can. And the only other people you're competing with are other fix and flippers. And 9 times out of 10, they look at a property and they just submit their highest and best. They're not putting in the extra work that you do. And that's where the value of you as a wholesaler comes in. And that's why wholesalers are worth their weight in gold when you do it well, because you're getting your buyer deals that every other flipper is going to be missing out on.
So Jared, let me ask you this. What's your process after, and forgive me guys, I had to hop on something else, but I'm back. But yeah, so what's your process after you make that offer to the agent to implant that relationship, other than just that conversation? What do you do?
So I'll have the initial conversation over the phone with them.
Okay.
After I get off the phone with them, I'll text them just to follow up. Hey, it was great connecting. Here's my info. I'll put some numbers together and send something over if I think it makes sense. I'll put together my formal offer. I'll email it over to them. I'll let them know that I sent it over. And then if they respond to it, that it gets turned down, I'll put it into my list of like offered. I'll mark it that it was rejected with whatever reason. I'll then put it in a folder that I offered it. and I'll monitor it to see if it's still listed or not. And then if it's still listed down the line, I'll reconnect on my initial offer on it.
Nice. Good. So you way to keep track of all that. So let me give you a couple suggestions that I think will help you even get even higher if up on the totem pole of people they remember. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. So let me pull this up. Nate, do you have anything you want to say while I'm doing this, while I'm pulling it up?
No, man, I think that was good. But I hope you guys are able to see. So just kind of everything, the overview of kind of everything that we went through as far as when looking through and this was just one property, right? This was the second property you looked at, and Privy sent you 10 today. And this is a really, really hot lead. I would say.
Yeah, I don't usually see ones like this, honestly.
So I know they did it because they knew it was Deal Finding Friday. But I mean, with the list price, in those conversations with the agents, what I've found is there's a lot of deals to be made on properties that are ridiculously listed. So if it's been listed for like 40, 50, 60 days and it's priced at like $399 and you're like, dude, like this needs a full rehab, and any flipper would need to be at maybe like 250, right? When there's a massive gap to where they're not even remotely close. I love calling those properties because you've got no competition on it, because nobody else is looking at it, because they're like, dude, what are these people smoking, right? And two, you're able to catch a lot of people where they're later on in that process and they've gotten beaten up really early with super low offers. And now they're at a point to where they're ready to start having a conversation, and they're excited that you reached out, and they're like, oh my gosh, like finally somebody's calling us about this property. Like we finally might be able to sell it. And you'll be surprised. Like I was shocked when I did my 30-day challenge. Multiple people dropped like 80, 90 grand on list price. Yeah, I was shocked at how often it happens. The deal that I did, during my challenge that we made 20,000 on, that was a property they dropped $80,000 off of their list price, or was it 60? I think it was 80. But yeah, you can get those big price drops, but it all comes down to that conversation with the agent and then leveraging your buyers. And then the other one is real quick, and I'm going to hand it off to you, Nate, is the properties that are hard to comp. The properties that are difficult to comp, most wholesalers will look at it and they'll be conservative. One of two things are going to happen. They're either way too high up on the spectrum and they're locking it up way too high and then it falls out of contract, or they're being really conservative and it's just like way off the mark and the seller's like, no way. That's another one to where if you put in the hard work and you have those conversations and you're like, depending how someone comps this, I think this could actually be a really good deal. And if you're able to build a logical argument around why you think this is a good deal, again, you can leverage the relationship with your buyer and reach out to and be like, hey, I think I can get this one for you for this price. I'm curious for you to take a look at it. I'm seeing an ARV around here. Are you interested? Right? Or what are your thoughts? And then let them tell you what ARV is, because ultimately they're going to be the one that decides, right? More or less. So, and again, in the process, whether it's a deal or no deal, you'll at least learn more about your buyer and how they look at and analyze properties. And Privy's able to help a ton with that too, with the comps, with all the stuff that we went over earlier. Love doing all that stuff.
Beautiful. Any follow-up to that, Jared?
I got nothing. It was great.
Man, my boy Nate, he makes sure you don't have any questions. He just goes deep on that thing. All right. So Let's do this super quick. I'm going to show you how, Jared, you're going to be able to make them remember you. Okay. Cause that's so frustrating when I've made all these calls in the past and it's like, man, they never call me back. Right. Or they're never going to hit me up. I'd love for them to give me stuff. Now, let me tell you why this works, because Zishan, my virtual assistant, like he has people hitting him up. And he calls them, and obviously he's got an accent. They're still hitting him up. You know why? Because he's doing this. All right. Let me tell you what you need to be doing going forward. Let's see. Share my dang screen right here, boy. Let's share this thing. Okay. Everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. So look, you're doing great. You're calling the agent to network and you're making the offer. You're going through the process. You're making the discovery call. You don't really need a script, or if you have one, you've done well with it. You're analyzing the property. They're calling them back, or you're emailing them your offer. Okay. So that's not all we want to do. And not calling you out. I'm just saying anybody that's watching this, like that's not all you want to do if the offer isn't accepted. You want to add that agent or that property, it seems like you already are, into a CRM, into Privy, so you can keep track. You want to create a list for those specific agents that you've made offers to. You want to add a note in your CRM about the conversation, or into Privy about, did that conversation go good? Is this agent open to working with a cash buyer like me, or an investor? You want to add a follow-up task, or this is again if you have a CRM. If you don't, then you can also just write a note. But you want to follow up with them in 30 to 90 days just to check in. And that's not necessarily about that specific property, but it's just, hey, you remember me? Next thing. So Jared, this is probably gonna be a lot different because I've, this isn't something I would want to do, but if it's helping you get more deals, I would recommend doing it. So you send them a Facebook request so you can establish facial recognition. You are now present in their news feed whenever you post anything. Okay. So you send them a Facebook request and a LinkedIn. Jared, is that weird, or do you feel like that would set you apart?
No, I don't think it's weird. I think it'll set you apart 100%. Something that I've actually done when trying to build out my buyers list, as well as following up with agents that I have strong conversations with, is I'll send them a recap email, and I'll literally put at the bottom of the email a photo of myself and Jordan, my fiance, who's my partner in this, just to match a face with the name to stand out more so that they actually remember. Spoke with an agent yesterday who was in Tampa. I used to live in Tampa. I'm in San Diego now. He used to live in San Diego. Told him where I live. I can see into Petco Park. Sent him a photo of the stadium after I got off the call. Yeah. Something like differentiate, from every other wholesaler that's blowing them up.
I love it. I think that's amazing. So that's exactly, you're doing good. So go step on and get LinkedIn and Facebook sent. Text them from your cell. Say thanks. Sounds like you do that. Let me ask you if you're doing this. This is huge. Are you sending them your buy box criteria?
No.
Do you think that would help by sending every agent you talk to a follow-up email that shows them exactly what you're looking for?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%. So that's what we do is when we get done talking to someone, we give them our criteria. What is the criteria? Well, it's the criteria of our buyers. That's it. So when this agent sees my face, when he sees, that I'm on the feed, his feed, and he's got my buy box, I'm probably going to come to the top of his mind if he finds something that meets that criteria. Because all we're really doing, if you really look at it this way, we're pretty much like outlaw agents for buyers. Like we don't have licenses and we can do this wherever we want. We're really just looking for deals for our buyers. And that's what agents do. That's why they get paid so well, is because they've developed relationships with people in their network and they just bring them deals and they list stuff. But we're just, doing it without getting our licenses. And we can make bigger fees. So that's you give them your buy box criteria. And this is an example. Atlanta, you tell them what counties you want and where you're buying. You sign the text saying where you're coming from. This is another thing that goes above and beyond. Not necessarily something you have to do, but Jared, I would recommend that, I can actually help you do something like this. You send a credibility, I call it a credibility packet. It's just an overview of your company. Okay. It's an overview about what you do. So when they get this, they're like, oh, I ain't messing with no Joe Schmo here. So this is my company, Offer on Homes. I send them a little letter, and this is for off market, by the way. This is for people like sellers, but you can just tailor it to an agent. I say, hey, thank you for giving me the opportunity to offer on your property. This is my team. And here's some testimonials of people that I've worked with. Here's some FAQs, frequently asked questions. Here's my proof of funds letter. you can just literally put your proof of funds letter in here. And that way they're like, oh, dang, this guy's actually legit and ready to go. And then I outline what happens after I sign the contract. Again, this is more for off market, but same thing. You could add your proof of funds. You could add like about you and Jordan. You could, add some testimonials of people you've worked with or how easy it's been. If you send that with that email that says your buy box criteria, this could even have your buy box criteria. But if you send that, they're like, dang, I'm working with someone who's like got their ish together, whether it's your first deal or your 100th deal. If you send this, you're credible.
Yep.
Now, by the way, this is not stuff that I made up. I went to a seminar, this guy that does like millions of dollars in agent outreach. This is what he does. And it blew my mind. I'm like, dang, this is all good stuff. So the next thing that he does is he actually goes above and beyond, and he caters all his social media posts to agents. Because he knows if he's friend requesting a ton of agents and they're going to be on his feed, he wants them to know that that real estate is what he does. So he starts making posts that cater to the avatar of the people he's working with, right? And that's the avatar, he says, 56-year-old male. Oh, it's 56-year-old female who owns their own home. Now, you make a VIP list. Once you start doing multiple deals, you make a list of people who are sending you deals, people that have closed deals with you, people that are referring you deals and actively referring us homes. Call them monthly, not just quarterly. And why would an agent work with you? That's just basically what it comes down to. Well, we have cash buyers lists. A lot of agents don't have the relationships. Again, it comes down to relationships. They want to leverage yours. You're leveraging theirs. Opportunities to double dip. I don't know if you're telling agents when you talk to them, but you can double dip where they can represent you. Not only can they represent you on the transaction to double dip, but they can triple dip, which means they can represent you. They can represent the seller, the list that they're listing with. And you can even say, hey, I might even sweeten the pot for you. I'll let you list this house after I'm done flipping it. So they just went from making 3% to 9%, right? They just tripled their income. They're going to be a lot more incentivized to work with you. Now, I know if you're wholesaling it, you can't control who that buyer goes with, but still. And this is the next thing you want to commit to is you want to tell them, look, any property you send me, I promise you I'll get you a cash offer within 24 hours. That is the value that they will send you deals for. They're just like us. They want to get their property sold. They want to know what it's worth. And maybe they don't know. Maybe they don't know what a cash buyer would pay. If you can be that person for them that you're just like, boom, 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 they'll be all about it. So these are just some steps that I think will set you apart. So if you don't get that deal, Jared, you're going to get many more that they'll send you as you let them know what you're looking for.
Yep. Real quick, I actually connected with an agent. So there's a property, numbers weren't going to make sense, but I figured it was worth a call to network with her. I gave her a call, and this was actually on the live role play in the community last week. And I spoke with her. She was super nice. We built good rapport, and she was telling me that she actually wanted to start wholesaling her stuff herself. And I was like, that's great. I work with a great team. I have a bunch of buyers, happy to help you. Wow. So I connected with her, followed up with her the following week. She's an agent, so I'm sure she has a lot of relationships and could have properties being brought to her. And she seems totally down to work with me. So that just kind of goes to show what calling a property that may not be the best numbers could do down the line. So
exactly. Like leave no conversation or relationship without like trying to get, provide value, because that's what it's all about in life is, again, it's relationships and serving and providing value. So never look at like, man, I keep on striking out on these offers when you're like, well, dude, I just got tight with 10 people, 10 agents that can send me some, because I committed to them that I'm going to give them an offer within 20, you can say even 12 hours. Be like, dude, I'm always by my phone. This is all I do. Send me anything. I'll make you an offer. To them, that's value, because they're like, oh, shoot, I got someone that doesn't want to list it, and I can know exactly what a cash buyer would pay. That's sweet.
One more thing. Jared, if you still have Privy up in that property, if you're able to share your screen and go back to that comp property that we were talking about. I just wanted to show people. Yep. So that was the comp you were talking about. So this one, we were like, man, this is a really, really good comp. We would want to know who this buyer is. Another thing that I do is I'll even go, if you click on the tab, public records, and then I'll scroll down. Yep. So property history. So here's where we're able to see who the flipper was on that company. Now there's two things we can do. We can either search up that LLC and call that person, or we can just call the listing agent and talk with them. Now, sometimes I will even call this person before I even call or before I make an offer on the listed property. And what I'll do is I'll get more information from them. I will call that buyer or that agent and say, hey, I saw the flip that you did at, 123 Main Street, whatever this address is. And, hey, it came out really, really good. I'm working a few properties in this area. I think I might have a really good deal coming up. Are you still buying in this area? Are you still buying this neighborhood? Right. And then the other thing I want to ask is like, hey, that property looked really good. How did that one turn out for you? Like, did that one end up turning out really well? The reason why we ask that is because when we see the price of what they paid and what they sold it for, right? So we can see they paid $198 when they bought it, and then they sold it on the back end for $324. Now, guys, the mistake we always make as wholesalers, we're like, whoa, dude, he made a killing. Like, what a great deal. That's not certain, right?
Jury's out on that.
And the last thing we want to do is to try to hold a buyer, be like, dude, but you paid $198 for this one. And then he comes back with, he's like, yeah, and I lost 10 grand on it. Right? Because we don't know if that rehab went over, if there's something he missed, certain headaches. So first we want to confirm that he did really well in that deal. Right? And they love to brag, about, it's not even really bragging, but they love, if they did well in a deal, they like to let you know. Like, yeah, that one went really, really well. Like, yeah, we were happy with how that one turned out. And then, perfect. I'm gonna take that comment, save it for later, and then kind of put it back on. I'm like, oh, bro, well, I've got this one for you. You made a killing on that other one. I can get this for you for this price, right? Or I'll even talk to them about the exact listing. And the funny thing is, sometimes buyers, they might ask you, well, it's listed. I already put an offer in. Why would I work with you? And I straight up would tell them, because I'm able to do things that gets deals that other flippers aren't able to do or aren't willing to do. Right?
These guys like, what do you do? You're like
don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. So, but seriously, right? And we kind of talked about that stuff earlier in this call as far as making those calls and how to create that special offer. And that's what I would say to him. He's like, dude, if I made an offer at 190, why would I pay you 200? And I would say, because that guarantees that you'll get the deal, or I'm going to sell it to a different guy that's willing to pay that price, because I'm able to get the offer accepted and have them work with me. That's the value that we bring to the table. So yeah, I would even call them and you could get more info, and you could learn like, oh man, like I would also ask questions of like, oh man, that turned out really well. Like, was that a big rehab for you? See what he says. Like, oh, okay, but my guess is probably like 40, 50 grand. Oh, really? It was only 35. He just told you what the rehab's going to be for your house, right? So guys, you don't have to know rehab. I know nothing about rehab. I don't need to know anything about rehab. I let the experts tell me what the rehab price is. We just got to be an expert at uncovering that information.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Jared, all the stuff we went over today, are there any still kind of big questions, or do you feel like this could help you with kind of the obstacles that you're facing?
Yeah, no, solid session. I think the biggest takeaways for me today is really just kind of drilling down with the buyers, like getting a little more detail in terms of the buy box, utilizing them to get a better idea of rehab, looking at past flips to also kind of pair up the rehab with what potentially could be on a subject property. Yeah, so no, I'm good.
And when I ask my buyers, you know, if I've already spoke to them and I'm still trying to learn more about their criteria, one of the things I like to say to them is I like to let them know up front, especially when I'm starting to ask a ton of questions. I say, hey, look, I know I'm asking you a ton of questions. The reason I'm asking these questions is not because I'm looking to nickel and dime you on every single deal, you know, and squeeze every penny I can out of you. That's not my goal. Once in a blue moon, yeah, I might make out really well and maybe make 20, 30 grand on an assignment fee. But the vast majority of all the deals, I mean, like, dude, if I know it's a deal for you and it works, if I'm only able to make 2-3 grand, I'm fine with that. Like, I'm happy to move the deal and get you your next flip. You know, and for me, what I've found is there are so many properties, so many good deals that just end up dying and not happening, not because they weren't a good deal, but because the wholesaler didn't really know what the buyer was able to pay, and there was just too big of a gap. So when there was a deal that was able to happen. And so my biggest thing is I just don't like things going to waste. So for me, there's going to be times to where I probably even know I could charge you a little bit more, but I kind of give you a little bit of an extra spread. My goal is I don't want anything to go to waste. So that's why I'm asking all these questions. And I tell them that.
It's transparency, baby. Well, hey, let me answer some questions really quick coming from the live. So this guy says, Barrett says, what CRM should be used? So CRMs, there's so many CRMs out there, and really, I like RE Simply. I've used FreedomSoft. I've used HubSpot, but RE Simply gives you like a 30-day free try. So I would try that, see if you like it. I actually use Go High Level right now, which is built not for wholesaling. It's built for coaching, and I use it for wholesaling. I like Go High Level a lot, but sometimes you have to make them. There's just a lot of different ones. In all reality, this process of what you're trying to do is very simple. It's make connections. You obviously Privy, you can use all that. I'm not sure if Privy can assign tasks yet. That's most CRMs. Go ahead, Nate.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so Privy, it's not really a CRM, but you can set it up to where it pretty much works like one. And I know Jared set his up like that, and it's really, really cool and really helps you kind of organize and sort everything. And then from there, guys, I did a 30-day challenge to where I spent no money. The only thing I spent was $97 on Privy, and I ended up doing a $20,000 deal from those 30 days. And I did it using Privy to kind of keep everything organized and like an Excel spreadsheet. Nothing fancy.
Yeah.
So it's
really the only value, not the only value, but CRMs really just help you, I would say, organize like when things are due. That's what I like them for, but you can do them all within. So that's the answer to that. Mod Money says, hey fellas, what's going on? Good to see you, Mod. All right. Well, hey, I think Jared, the purpose again was to bring you on here because it's literally this is for you, man. This is like what you're facing is what we're all facing, right? So if we can help out you and it translates to helping out other people, that's what we're all about. So and shout out to Aaron, just got signed up for the masterclass. Let's go. Love it.
Go, Aaron.
We love it. And by the way, the masterclass, all the masterclasses, it just shows this strategy we're talking about of using Privy, but finding the buyers first. So you know how to use the filters, how to develop those relationships. It's key. It's really important. So anyway, that's all I got to say. Is everybody, anything else you two want to say before we dip out?
Jared, do you have anything?
Not much. Appreciate the time, fellas.
We got your back, bro. Thanks for providing so much value. But everybody that's watching this, take a note from Jared. Jared is a goat. He gives back, and that's what it's all about. You want to grow in this community, you help people, and they help you out. That's what it's all about, relationships. So take note, and Privy's awesome. Peace out, everybody.
Later, guys. Have a good weekend.